chase the pump or whatever it is. Like, it's fun. I also love being in the gym, lifting weights to, pushing that extra 1 RM or, looking in the mirror and being like, fuck, today's pump was great. Like I had those extra few carbs in the morning and they're really showing. And if you say you don't love that, you're lying. It's great. That wasn't a good scene to be around. And man, I reckon nothing would have pulled me out except for jiu-jitsu. So if you don't look after your body, your brain fails you. And it happens. Like if I take a few weeks off training, I'm sure you feel the same. If you don't train, maybe take a week or just a couple of days off, your brain starts to play tricks on you. You start to anxiety, you get agitated. You're not you anymore. SWOG parents are some of the best providers that just in human civilization.
Mate, I think they're a drug cartel. Where the fuck do they find the money when they're broke?
Hey, what the hell? What's going on here?
There you go, bro. We're ready for you now. He's motivated by the chick. Once believed jiu-jitsu was the gay, sorry wokers, hugging other dudes. I think it still is. He's motivated by the chick still and has mastered to keep her there for 10 years. Wow. Without finalizing the deal. He's offered to buy his partner an orgasm. Well, that's a shot, I mean. Wears his ears with a badge of honor. Takes a pre-workout. Don't take a pre-workout. He rolls, he chokes, he doesn't tap. He talks, he walks the walk. He makes you submit, not because he's Greek. He's the champ. And no, doesn't train topless. But he is BJJ's once bodybuilder, Chris Triantopoulos.
Hey, man, that was fantastic. Holy shit. I've never had an intro quite like that.
Well, before we start, don't move. Chris, let's do it. Let's do it, Chris.
Hey, what the hell? What's going on here?
Mate, when we put on a show, brother, let's go. Yep.
Hey.
Let's do it, Chris.
Oh, shit, the way you tied the belt, fuck.
It's shit. No it's shit. Wait, we haven't finished. Let's finish the final touch. Go for it. Go, Chris. There we go.
Oh, man, this is fantastic.
Wait a minute, Chris. Let me move that forward. Let's get over the sponsorship. Let's go over the sponsorship, Chris. Oh, hang on. One sec. Get over the sponsorship, Chris. Go. Let's do it.
The big Greek head.
There you go, bro. We're ready for you now. We're ready for you.
That hats off to you, sir. Oh man, that's great. I was not ready for that.
Oh, there goes the hat. Anyway, it was a short stint. The hat was a short stint. There we go. Let's go for a little while, and then we'll rip the hat off for a second because we need my sponsorship back. All right, let's start the podcast. How are you, by the way, bro?
Yeah, no, really good. I'm pumped, excited to be on the podcast, man. Like I was saying, I've been following your stuff for quite some time. The guys you've had on, and man, it's a privilege to be a part of this.
Thank you. I hope so far I've impressed you. I've got to put on a show for you, buddy. I've put on a show.
Man, this has made it 10-fold times better. That's great.
6 meals a day, muscle douchebags, dumbbells, egotistical guy, getting massive. Gym taking you to the wrong direction. Who are we talking about here, bro? I mean, come on. Who are we talking about here? Are we talking about bodybuilders? Is this who we are? Are we douchebags, man?
No,
are we egotistical dumbbell guys?
I was. I can definitely
you
say
were.
I was the egotistical.
Oh my God, I was reading this and I'm thinking, fucking hell, I'm a douchebag. I'm an egotistical dumbbell guy. I like getting massive. Fucking hell, Chris nailed it.
Hey, how can you be a douchebag? You're wearing a gi. You're already 10 times above the rest.
Hey, I'm about to play that song. I'm a superhero or something. What is it by?
Yeah, you feel good when you're in a gi.
I don't know, mate. All I know is when I tried to do a pee before, I couldn't keep my pants up, mate. You got to do something about these pants. So they don't stay up. And some pockets, please. I need some pockets for my iPhone.
Oh man,
I need some pockets for my iPhone, mate. We've got to get with the times. Everyone carries their iPhones.
Yes, no, I agree. You're right. The gi is quite prehistoric.
So tell me a little bit about the douchebag, the dumbbell egotistical guy getting massive.
Yeah, no, of course. So when I was younger and I got into the gym, it was for a whole different reason. Like I started lifting weights, made me feel good, confident. So for all that, it was great. Then I reckon I reached maybe when I started going partying and maybe 18, 19. And I started to realize that, not that I realized, I started to think when I was in the party scene, that my whole world revolved around being the biggest guy in the room. It was a mindset of, when I'd be in a room or at a club or at a party or whatever, it felt like I had to be the biggest guy. And when I wasn't, it would eat me up on the inside. It sucked. I thought, how do I best put it? I felt, like if I wasn't the biggest, if I wasn't the best or the most muscular kind of guy, I was a douchebag. I know, sorry, not a douchebag. I was a loser. I thought that it was something where, unless I was massive, I was a loser. And then the weight made me into a douchebag. I used to sometimes in my mind think that how do I find words for this one?
Keep going. I'm going to my notes. I've got notes everywhere about you. Keep going.
Yeah. If for me myself, if I wasn't big, actually no, I'll reword that one. What do I best?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to flick quickly through because I was writing it this morning, but this is what you were. Do you want me to tell you?
Yes.
This is what you were. You said lifting weights, getting as big as possible. It was kind of your personality, your identity, and that getting big was possibly, and let's play it. Huh? Let's play your podcast. Here we go.
That was a big part of my life way back then. My training or my goals back then was pretty much just go to the gym, lift weights, get as big as humanly possible, because that was all I had. Going to the gym was my personality. Going to the gym was
by the way, this is Chris.
Identity. By the way. So obviously, the bigger you are, the more you think people are going to like you. The more shredded you are, the more you think people are going to appreciate you. Don't get me wrong. It's a very healthy thing to be involved with if you're doing it for the right reasons. If you're in the gym for legitimate good reasons, that's great. But if you're in there and you're not mentally strong, you're mentally weak, and you're leaning on it, you're relying on the gym to make you a better person, then it's got the ability to sort of take you in the other direction as well. And that's what it did to me.
So let's talk about that, right?
All right, cool. Now I'm understanding where now I could get my brain in the right direction. So I used to think that, like before getting into jiu-jitsu and all that, I always wanted to be a tough guy. And I thought the bigger I was, the tougher I was. And that sort of gave me that peacock-like approach to, again, walking into a room and thinking, if I'm the biggest guy there. And the only way I could put that point across was by trying to be, I don't know, intimidating, by being macho and having that thing about me. Because the ego came about was, I've never been in a fight. I don't know what a fight's all about. Like, I just thought, you got to walk in and you got to try to intimidate the other guys in that room. You got to walk in there and you got to eye them all off and you got to spread your lats and you got to flare yourself open and be not you. Just be someone that everybody else is going to be, I guess, intimidated off when you walk into that room. And then later on in life, it was when I realized, holy shit, that's the wrong way to go about it. You don't want to walk into a room and try to intimidate everybody, and that's how they're going to like you, just by being massive. So it was a bit of a weird mindset. It was trying to make friends, trying to talk to girls. I never was me. I was always that big guy. And then it wasn't until later on that I realized, man, I was just a douchebag. Like I wasn't me. I was just trying to be the big, scary, macho dude walking into every single room because I felt small on the inside. I was super insecure. It was like I was saying before, like if I had a day when I didn't have a good pump, if I felt like I was small, I wanted to hide away. I wanted to crawl into my bedroom and not get out. So then when I did feel massive, when I did feel strong, just this cocky, arrogant attitude would come out of me. And it wasn't until years later when I started training jiu-jitsu and martial arts that I was like, nah, man, fuck what other people think about you. Who cares? Like, you're you. You be the best version of you that you can be. So I think that's where that, why I said that I was a bit of a muscle-bound douchebag when I was younger.
Thank you, everyone, for supporting us on Muscle Talks podcast. What I'd really like is for you guys to hit the subscribe button, Why hit the subscribe button? It just lets us get a bigger reach, a bigger audience, and also some of the greatest guests. You've probably already seen we've had a few Olympians on, and we're striving to actually get right up there on the 1, 2s, and 3s. Yes, possibly even C-Bum on here. So guys, subscribe, come on a journey with us with Muscle Talks. Now let's get back to the podcast.
I didn't take it personally, Ollie's for an hour.
Yeah.
For an hour I did, you know. And did jiu-jitsu really save your life, or are you just being too Greek?
A little bit of Greek and a little bit of, I do believe it saved my life.
Listen, man, I'm sweating my ass off here. So
yeah, I was going to say, who wears a gi indoors with the lights on? I'm sweaty and I've got like one light.
And make sure you fucking wash your belts, all right? Fucking wash your belts, wash your gear, you smelly bastards. That's what I heard from Chris.
Yeah. Oh, you've done your research.
Oh, man, fucking, I'm a groupie. I'm a groupie.
But just going back on that other subject, just quickly, just because I know people that listen, they like to take things completely the wrong way.
We do, yeah, we love it.
Yeah, no,
Plus
definitely.
you're from Melbourne. Plus you're from Melbourne, mate. We're gonna.
I love stirring the pot. Don't get me wrong, but if you're doing bodybuilding for all the right reasons, it's a beautiful sport. It's definitely something that I actually, just before we get into this, I believe bodybuilding was a much nicer sport, a better sport before social media became as big as it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it out there. I reckon most sports, but definitely bodybuilding, fitness, and all that sort of stuff, it won't be as big without Instagram and social media. I will say one good thing: if you're doing it for the right reasons, is great. But if you're doing it for clout, then that's the wrong reasons. You're going back to that mindset of like you're just trying to impress people online.
Well, I think we mentioned before, me and you, before we got on here, I said to you, I've been training for 3 decades. I mean, I love the sport. I just love the sport. Try to do that for 3 decades without social media.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you'd be training.
That's what I mean.
You did long workouts.
Yeah.
You did long, hard workouts. You trained hard. You did it because you loved it, the community, the people you trained with.
That's right.
I believe that sort of stuff's now starting to disappear. And now it's just like, I'm going to do my quick 40-minute workout, post on social media that you can, get really lean if you follow my routine. And then, you tell them not to train for longer than 40 minutes at a time. Everyone's
an expert.
That's the one I was going to say. So yeah, everyone's now a fitness expert when really they're just blasting a shitload of gear and, taking a bunch of trend.
Well, that too. But since you said you didn't want to cause controversy, you just did. But well done, Chris. You've done. I love it, but don't stop. But having said that, yeah, save your life. Is it?
Yes. Sorry, going back to that.
Are we too Greek?
All right, let's get back to that. So the people I was hanging around back then, it was a lot of party goers. It was a lot of, we go to the gym for the music festivals. We go to the gym to look jacked. Again, all the wrong reasons, but that was the crew I was hanging around back then.
It's your fault, It's your fault now. It's your fault social media's got the topless guys dancing.
Yeah, oh, man, dude, that was the best era. I remember going to Stereosonic.
Stereosonic, mate. I know.
Summer days.
Yeah, we know what you're on, mate. We know what you're on.
And that was back in the old days.
White doves. Go on.
And that wasn't a good scene to be around. And man, I reckon nothing would have pulled me out except for jiu-jitsu. When I started training about 10 years ago now, you try to go party, you try to do jiu-jitsu, you can't pull it off. You can't roll. You can't function after going out or having a big weekend like that. So I feel like jiu-jitsu really pulled me out of that and then pulled me towards, going into the right direction and hanging around better people. And, just taking me on a path of
destruction.
A path of, I entered the labyrinth of destruction joining jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, look, I remember once, Chris, I'll tell you this too. Bodybuilding and party scene was the same thing. Obviously you did it. That's right, you did it. And I remember one of our competitions was to turn up at the Gold Coast, ripped as fuck, muscular, and just party for 7 days. And to be honest, on the drugs, just going for it. And that was it. I just come back to Sydney like nothing happened. It was like, that's it. We're good. But I remember for a little while there, I was going to certain rave parties, nightclubs, and they finish at 7 in the morning. Then they go to after day parties.
Yeah.
One day, I was leaving the club. It was DCM's in Oxford Street in Sydney. And I left the club and a few girls were lurking around, only because I had some stuff on me. Anyway, they were lurking around. And I remember walking out of the club into the daylight, the sunrise, and I looked at everyone, and to be honest, everyone looked like skeletons, looked like hell. I looked around. So I looked at my reflection in a car mirror window, and I looked glossy like a true Greek Adonis, right? Anyway, and I looked at myself and I looked at them. I looked at myself, I looked at them, and I said to myself, do I keep going or do I go home for cornflakes? I'm going home for cornflakes. I got in the car, I never went back since.
Yeah, beautiful. That's great.
And I rang my cousin Junior, because he's the same age as me, same name, Greeks, like our grandfathers. I said, I've got to call someone. I said, Junior, listen, man, I need your help. I've got to get home or I'm going to turn around and go back to the club. He goes, no, go home and have cornflakes. Go home and have cornflakes. I drove home, never did it since. That was it. Once I saw everyone looked like shit, I said, once the lights go on, you know she's not a supermodel and you've had too many what's it called? Too many Johnny Walkers. Too many Johnny Walker Reds.
So jiu-jitsu saved me. Cornflakes saved you.
Cornflakes. I was ripped with cornflakes, buddy. All right. Even though I lost my you know what was cornflakes was? Do you know why cornflakes was developed?
Oh man, there is a story behind this. But yeah,
infidelity to take away your the possibility to recreate, to make you numb.
It takes it away.
Yeah, it takes away your ability to your sperm to be active. So I left there to become inactive. I don't know if that was a good thing. I had 3 girls waiting for me. I could have been very active, but that's another story. All right, we're going to go with the famous quote. It's a new topics we're doing on the podcast. So welcome to some of the new topics. Socrates once wrote, "No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of his physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable." What does that tell you, mate?
Beautiful. It means you have to push your body to the limit. It means you have to find something in your life that physically challenges you against somebody else. Whether it's wrestling, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's Muay Thai, whether it's boxing. You need to, at some stage in your life.
Bodybuilding too. Bodybuilding, by the way. Sorry,
and bodybuilding, got to keep them happy. But the only thing is with bodybuilding, there's no physical altercations. I hope not. When you fight, you need to fight somebody at least once in your life in a controlled situation, I believe.
Yeah, but I think as well, when I read that, it's Socrates is telling us that your body is a temple. Why the fuck do you want love handles? Why the fuck do you want to be saggy? You're a man. You're supposed to build like a statue. We're supposed to be statues. You know, let's just talk about it as men to men in this room. I mean, that's what he's saying. He goes, you never want to see this physique you've got at its prime, at its best. And I think the only way to do it is through a physical activity anyway, of exertion, like pushing, punching, wrestling, lifting, whatever it is. You just can't be sitting on the couch eating KFC thinking that you are this amazing specimen that I guess God created, but Socrates sees, as we see on all the statues. Oh, right. Chris has got one here as well. Chris just gave us one. There's a lot of new stuff going on, Chris, with this podcast. I mean, we've got fucking geese on, got new screens going, got a Greek god over there. The body should be treated more rigorously so that it may not be disobedient in the mind. There you go.
That's a good one, and it's true. If you don't look after
Seneca, go on. Yes.
If you don't if you don't look after your body, your brain fails you. And it happens. Like if I take a few weeks off training, I'm sure you feel the same. If you don't train, maybe take a week or just a couple of days off, your brain starts to play tricks on you. You start to anxiety, you get agitated. You're not you anymore. And we've learned, but the thing is, we've learned that through training. We've learned how to be, perform a little bit higher, I guess, because we're constantly challenging our bodies through lifting, training, whatever it is. Most people live in that state of mind because they're the couch potato. They're just they're doing nothing. And they're used to living that life. And that's why, I believe, a lot of those mental issues play part in people's minds, where anxiety, depression, all that sort of stuff. I reckon if you train, it's going to help big time. Whereas I do believe that, I think I've said it once before, where in a day, we've got a certain amount of energy, I guess you could say. If you don't use that energy through training and exercise and pushing yourself to the limit, that energy basically becomes all the negative shit in your life. So you've got more time, more energy to start focusing on shit you don't need to. Use up all that energy in your day, and you do not have time or anything left in you to put it towards anxiety, depression, and all that mental stuff you get going on.
Oh, most definitely. I'm sure Felicity has said to you many times, Chris, can you go
Felicia.
Felicia. Let's get that right. I mean, it has been 10 years, but let's get that right. I don't know how you did it. We need the book. We need the book.
Yes.
Got the chick and you've kept her in the holding pattern for 10 years. We need the book.
Yes.
We need the book. We need it written. But the thing is, I'm sure Felicia, was it?
Yes.
Felicia. Are you fat up or fed up? Tired of boring food? We just cooked this from our What Should I Eat cookbook. It's also on an ebook, making it more affordable for you. So,
get your copy at threeog.shop.
Felicia's told you a few times. I know my partners have told me times. Like she probably said, "Can you go roll? Go get the fuck out of this house and go roll, roll." She probably told you need to go roll.
Yeah, we have an agreement. Like, there's usually a lot of people, they struggle to train because, you know, their partners don't want them training that much. They're never at home. With me, I reckon the reason why I started to get better at jiu-jitsu was I trained full time. Not once has Felicia ever complained and said, "Oh, you don't spend enough time at home." So I reckon you're right. On the back end of that, she's probably thinking, fuck, thank God he's out of the house.
Yeah.
It keeps him sane and it keeps him out of my hair.
Well, look, it's music to my ears for her to be letting you do what you do, because I can tell you now, first and foremost, I love women. But at the end of the day, we're only as good as the support we get, because you know why? To be honest, we ever want to make our partners happy, and I've done it in a short Steve Talks, that a man's anxieties is one thing and one thing alone: to provide shelter, protection, food, and clothing. That's it. That's what we do. That's our anxiety. So we go out to do that, and then we're happy and we'll do whatever next. But if we're smashed up by someone not supporting us in whatever we want to achieve in your sport, and you do it full time, that at the end of the day, we'll crumble. So sometimes it's great that you've got, like they say, behind every strong man, there's a strong woman. I'm sure that your girl's that. So let's say, being Greek, are your parents still waiting for you to get a full-time job, a real job? Are they still waiting for you to get a real job? Like this is good. This, what is this? I don't know. But this BJJ. When are you going to get a real job? This not pay thing. This not buy property. This not. What are you doing, Chris?
Man, 100%. They still have no idea what I do.
I know.
Man, I try to explain it to them. Now I just give up and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to work. We've got like a mutual agreement where we just don't ask anymore. I've tried to explain.
You explain to him, you go, "Look, Mum, it's this and this." She goes, "Telis kurabie." Just because you're lost now. Telis katinafas. You want to eat something? Like they're curved. Not only do they not understand you, they want to shut you up and just eat something. We don't know what you're doing. Just go get a real job.
Every time I try to explain it to her, I can just see her looking at me. Then she'll just glaze over to the kitchen, and then basically just turn it around and go, "What do you want to eat?" Like we don't even we barely talk about my job anymore, because it's just like, what am I going to eat? Do I need anything to take home with me? It's, you know, the Greek parents have to be some of the best European parents, I guess, WOG parents are some of the best providers that just in human civilization.
Mate, I think they're a drug cartel. Where the fuck do they find the money when they're broke? They've always got food. They've always got toilet paper, food. I mean, it's non-stop. These guys are going to be doing something on the side that we don't know, man, because I work hard and I don't have no money left.
You know what they do? They don't pay taxes.
Bloody taxes. They're taxes.
Oh, shit.
And Felicia, what nationality is she?
So she's Philippines.
Yeah, let me guess. And I'll tell you, Chris, when Chris takes Felicia out to a Greek party and there's a bunch of Greek mums there, Chris will say, they'll go, "Hey, where's she from?" And Chris will say, "Oh, Felicia is Filipino, and they'll say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She's not Greek, but it doesn't matter. All right. We'll accept it.
Yeah. I reckon I don't want to say it because
If you're not Greek, forget it, mate. If you're not Greek, forget it.
That's right.
But if you eat it and you dance it, they love you. You eat. She eats. She eats. Oh, we love her. She eats.
100%. I believe there's a few nationalities where if it's Greek, it's great. They're just like, cool, awesome, bring them in. If it's, Philippines or maybe a handful of others, it's like, it doesn't matter. But there are a few out there that I reckon you're going to cop the evil eye for.
Well, I used to laugh because I used to watch them. They go, because my ex-wife was Australian. They go, yeah, Giselle, what is she? I'll go, she's Australian. They go, it doesn't matter. But she goes, but she eats. She eats. She eats. Oh,
perfect.
She eats. So they love that. If you eat, you're all right.
That's right.
Yeah, so obviously your parents are still waiting for you to get a real job. Okay,
yes.
That's cool. I'm confused. And can you help me here? All right. 30th of April, 2023. Or do jiu-jitsu guys really make good husband material? Or do wrestlers make good wrestlers? I've seen you wrestle, buddy.
Yes, you've uncovered the pro wrestling.
Yeah, I did. He does rock and roll wrestling. He's the Rock. Yeah, that's why I screamed the name out. So yeah, are jiu-jitsu guys really good husband material, or are the wrestlers?
You know me, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy now through and through. So I must say, jiu-jitsu, those guys make the best husband material.
Or can you tell me about this wrestling moment?
Yeah. Well, what do you want to know about the wrestling?
Well, firstly, you were this long-haired lout who came out who came out with some girl gym wear. I think he was wearing some girl's tights, the one-piece thing.
Oh, my spandex one piece.
Yeah, the spandex. He's wearing the spandex one piece, Chris, and he comes out and he was body slamming. I mean, he did a perfect body slam. It wasn't soft. It's theatrical, but it wasn't soft. But let me tell you, tell me about that, buddy.
Man, yeah. So I did professional wrestling for about 6 years before jiu-jitsu. So I was doing that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So I was doing that not full time, but every weekend there'd be a show on. I'd do that. And that's when I was, involved with partying. It was living the pro wrestler lifestyle, but to a much lesser degree where, every weekend it was just body slams, beating the shit out of each other. Yes, it's predetermined, but man, that stuff hurts. I copped a lot of concussions, a lot of injuries. And that was a part of my life for ages. And I think that's probably why I'm comfortable on the camera. I'm comfortable public speaking because I spent so many years fucking wearing a tight leotard one piece.
Yeah, we know that.
Out in public live. There was no room for error. Man, and the thing is, they used to nickname me Kikac. You know how much that's fucking because I used to play the bad guy. So when you're the bad guy, they're gonna make fun of you however way they can. I used to come out to chants of trios at Kikac. And man, I just remember looking down. I'm like, nah, man, it's fucking. There's more there than just a couple of Tic Tacs.
It's your fault, mate. It's your fault for wearing one piece, mate.
I do believe, man, when you go in
socks
life
as well, socks. Remember the sock.
I never thought about stuffing until a year later on. I'm like, fuck, I should have done that. But I do believe, you got to make fun of yourself as well. Like if you can't take life too seriously, you got to go out there. If someone's going to take the piss out of you, you may as well beat them to it and do it yourself first.
No, you're doing. Firstly, you do an extremely good job at it, and you are, I think, a frustrated actor, and I think
I'm waiting to break through.
I think I'm Jean-Claude Van Damme can do it. I'm sure you can do it, mate. I'm sure that you can do it. I'm sure you can do it. I'm sure you can do it. Felicia also mentioned that. Jiu-jitsu guys, they make some really good husband material, but she also mentioned that if she gives 100% to your 3-minute videos, the relationship will last a little bit longer.
Yep. No, that's true. I need, I love attention. She drip feeds it to me.
Oh,
she knows how to play the game. She knows how to sort of keep that carrot on the end of that stick and just keep me running for it. Maybe she's the one that's kept me around for 10 years.
No comment. No comment. I'm a man of wisdom. I've got a few more. I've got 22. I've got 2 decades on you, man, and
I've still got a lot to learn.
I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you later. Keep her there, mate. Keep her in holding pattern. If you keep her in holding pattern,
yeah,
that's another story. How old were you when you touched your first weights? What inspired you to pursue it further? How old were you? Yeah.
Man, it's funny because I used to do judo, jiu-jitsu as a kid. So I did that, and I actually quit it for the gym. So I did it the other way around when I was younger.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So what happened was, I was doing my martial arts, and then I went to the gym. And when I was a kid, I was a little fat, bullied Greek kid that, the school wasn't fun for me. The martial arts, that didn't really help my confidence when I was younger. Joining the gym did. I started to lift weights, started to lose weight. And I was one of the first ones in my high school to get jacked. Man, when I started to notice the heads turning and everything like that, it made me feel great. So I would have been about 16 years old. Very quickly, I became the typical Greek kid wearing a shirt, down to here, having the chest puffed out, got the gold chain on. Man, the world was great. And that's when actually I met Felicia and we started dating in high school.
Yeah.
So, man, I got confident, lifted weights. I loved it. So for me back then, it was perfect. It was great. Lifting weights was good, jumped into it. And then, I've never actually stopped lifting weights. So from 16 till today, I've always lifted weights. I've always done some form of training, and it has always revolved around a bodybuilding routine.
Yeah,
so
I've got some questions on that too.
Yeah, I've never been able to pull away from that. People have tried to introduce kettlebells. People have tried to introduce like all that other CrossFit, all that. For me, I find that boring. I still do love a pump. I can never get away from that. That's still always going to be inside me somewhere.
I think you're still running away from the little fat Greek kid, which I am myself. I'm still running from that little fat, and I feel I'm not saying that jiu-jitsu doesn't do that. Don't get me wrong, but because jiu-jitsu, you guys are silent assassins. I was telling Chris, Yanni, my son, does jiu-jitsu. My son.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. My son Yanni does jiu-jitsu. He is 6'3" or 6'2", and he was born to fight, and he needs to fight, but he doesn't want to fight on the street. But he has to fight. So giving him martial arts is a release for him to fight. But he wants to fight in a controlled environment. But I'm not. He is. He's innate to fight. That's it. Built.
Yeah.
It's DNA. So I'll get back to this story about what I'm saying is, but he went to to do jiu-jitsu with a very good teacher that I spoke to you about. And I think he was 5th in the world, this kid, this teacher, right? 5th jiu-jitsu guy in the world, right? But Yanni was 15, and the guy, I think Yanni was only there for 3 months. And he knew it. He said, all right, Yanni, you're going into comp. And Yanni, because of his weight, he fought a 27-year-old. He rolled with a 27-year-old.
What was he?
15.
Fuck, that's
I know.
fantastic.
It is. He lost, but he lost happily. He said he gave it a go. He gave him a run for his money. But he knew the guy was like, he didn't know, but we can understand why a 27-year-old might beat the 15-year-old. Yeah, might. But yeah. 3 months in, Yanni goes, I'm going to compete. I go, what? You're only 3 months in? He goes, yeah, the teacher sees something in me and he's going to push me. And I said, all right, go for it, brother. So he did, and he took a break from it. Only because he's a bit of a shy kid, embarrassed kid, pup kid. He got ringworms, which you get when you do rolling around and hygiene.
I've had it plenty of times.
No, but I think as well, I said to someone, it's like when you haven't got children, but when your kid goes to preschool, your preschool kid brings all the sickness home, your new diseases, your new flus, your new rashes, just brings it home to you. So when you do jiu-jitsu, until you condition your body, you're going to be exposed to something new. But he's back. I'm so happy he's back. He's back twice a week now. He's rolling.
Great.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I told him I was going to come on with you. Like any turning 18-year-old, he just smirked. Okay, right, that's great.
Cool.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah. So I've lost my train of thought where we were. Oh, inspired you. So being the Greek kid, the gold chains, getting pumped, getting jacked, people noticed you.
I loved it. So yeah, basically,
and what you said was you can't let go of hitting the weights. You can't.
Yeah. So
you love it because there's something I think it does physically. It's an exposure as well. It makes you a little bit jacked, though you can't be too jacked in martial art. It kind of keeps you in the holding pattern of jacked, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but like, being bigger, being, being, I guess, jacked, or however way you want to put it, it gives you a confidence that, like, jiu-jitsu gives you confidence, which is great. You can look after yourself and all that sort of stuff. But also when you look good and you're big and all that sort of stuff, it gives you another type of confidence.
It lets you look good in a suit, a t-shirt, jeans, it lets you look,
Like, who doesn't love walking down the street and just being, bigger than like 90% of the other guys out there? I don't want to walk around and, have this big pot belly hanging out and I've got no shoulders and, I'm just, I've got no good posture and I'm walking, and you can see it. They're not confident. Whereas I like walking down the street and being like, yeah, I can look after myself, but I'm also quite a big guy. So it's something that's stuck with me since I was young. And I reckon because I started to get that attention when I was 16, and I went from being the fat bullied kid to I became one of the more popular kids in high school. That stuck with me forever now. And I'll always lift weights. I'll always chase the pump or whatever it is. Like, it's fun. I also love being in the gym, lifting weights to, pushing that extra 1 RM or, looking in the mirror and being like, fuck, today's pump was great. Like I had those extra few carbs in the morning and they're really showing. And if you say you don't love that, you're lying. It's great.
Yeah, well, and I think we're going to talk about that crossover shortly, but you did mention, like, I'll go through a few things quickly. On the 9th of the 11th, 2022, going back to 2022, man.
Yep.
That's a lot of research from me, mate. That's why I went to bed at fucking 2 o'clock in the morning, but that's another story. Because I still had to go get my pump, so I went to train. Coming for you, Dukes, standing shoulder press, 100 kilos. Man, I see some bulk, I see size and strength. I can't do that. Like, that's strong.
Man,
shoulder
that's
press,
I got to give a shout out to one of my first ever, I guess he was like a coach, a mentor. He hired me because I used to, when I was in PT, he hired me at his gym. His name's George Mariolis. I don't know if you've heard of that name before, but I know a lot of guys in Melbourne would have. He used to put together the best programs for me and everybody at that gym. The gym was called Definition. It was like the Melbourne hub of like bodybuilders and just strongmen back in the day. And those programs, man, they were hard. Like we used to die in the gym. They were long programs. They were like 2 hours long. You're in there. You're just doing just heavy weights. And, he would always explain to me that you got to train your central nervous system. He'd always explain that, yeah, you can get a pump, you can get all that sort of stuff, but you got to work in these rep ranges that he would set for us, which I never understood the science behind it. I just trusted him. I was young. I knew he was great, so I just did it. And the strength I developed when I was young, that just managed to stick with me all the way through till today. So I still lift weights. I still feel quite strong. Like I'm not as big and as pumped as I used to be when I was younger, but the weights I can throw around are still, the weights I can throw around are still quite up there.
Well, I don't think you go below 100 kilos anyway. I think you curl 100 kilos. I think you do triceps 100 kilo. I think you bench press 100 kilos. I think fucking everything's 100 kilos with you, buddy.
A lot of this stuff, I used to be able to lift a lot more, but then jiu-jitsu, the injuries that came from that.
Yeah, of course.
Excuse me, let's go get a quick water.
Grab some water, mate.
The only thing that held me back from lifting more weights are the injuries that I got through jiu-jitsu. I've torn my pec. This is still, there's a big hole in it in there. I've torn my bicep as well. So I can still lift the compound movements really well. Look, I'm lazy on legs, so my squats they've disappeared. But yeah, there are a few things
I didn't want to talk about your legs, but that's another story.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad we're doing upper body today, not
Tic Tac. I didn't want to mention Tic Tac either. I didn't want to mention a lot of things. But...
Hey, like I said, I'll be the first to attack myself before you even get a chance to.
Oh, geez, typical martial arts guy.
But yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought. What were we just saying?
You were saying the guy taught you.
Yes.
Something nervous system kind of lifting and him and
excuse me. Yeah. George's programs that he gave me when I was younger, we were pumping through them. And this was pre-party days, during party days. Like we stayed committed. So no matter what we did on the weekend, no matter how we would party, no matter what we do, man, we're straight back in that gym. We're reading that routine. We're still following it. So we were treating it like it was a comp almost. Like we wouldn't go out every weekend. We'd keep it for festivals. We'd keep it for our that was our Arnold Classic.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah, pretty much. Like but that training we did then, I'm so grateful for, because it's made me into, like, I'd like to think of myself as one of the stronger grapplers on the mats. People I roll with, they get surprised just by how strong I am. And it's not the fact that I can like push them. It's just the base that I've got, the ability that they can't move me. I'm like a rock on top of the guys now. And I believe it's all got to do with the programs George wrote for me back when I was younger. All the guys from that era, they're all super strong guys now.
Well, I can see it, and it works. And also, I noticed as we went on, you showed us Mr. PT himself, not at the time PT, which I'm going to ask you about PT. Bicep curls, holding the dumbbells in a hammer position.
Yep.
And then doing till you can't fucking hold them anymore. He did, Chris, right? And then 10 hammer curls. And then the bands came out. So tell us about that pump.
The pump was great. I reckon that exercise is bullshit.
I think it still works today. I think it still works today, don't you think?
Oh, no, the hammer curls are great. I reckon hammer curls are fantastic. Yeah. But where I train at the gym, at the martial arts gym, we don't have a whole bunch of weights. So you got to kind of make do with what you got. At a weightlifting gym, you can drop set. You got the cables to play with. Where I lifted weights sometimes at the martial arts gym is we've only got some dumbbells, maybe from about 7 to 12 or 15 kilos. So it's not heaps.
You can do a lot.
We got a heap of bands. So I thought, fuck it, I'll put together a little routine, a little arm pump at the end of the routine, at the end of the workout. And for me, I loved it, but boy, did I cop a lot of hate. You put up anything fitness related on TikTok, you're going to get the comments running in. And I go, man, firstly, we're always here just to have fun on the internet. You can't take anything too seriously. And I'm not promising you that you're going to get the biggest arms. I will promise that you're going to get the best pump, though.
Well, let me tell you, TikTok, we've done some podcasts, and early days we used to have, we had a different direction, and we've changed direction. That's why we called this season 2. But season 1, I had a bodybuilder called John Torelli. And because he was on the podcast, people used to write on TikTok, maybe the host should start training. And I used to write back, you're right. That's what he said. I didn't camera him. They go, he's probably on trend. I go, oh, yes, he's a trendy guy. And they go, no, it's a steroid, mate. I said, and I write back, got you. Or they'd say, he's on the juice. And I'd say, yeah, he does like a carrot, ginger, and apple juice. He does enjoy it at times. That was all my comments. I actually replied to every like and hate. You should see. The one thing I've learned with social media is for the algorithm to grow, talk to everyone, even the haters. So just talk to the haters. All right, but the one that got me that I've never done, Chris, you've got to go see his tricep exercise. He's either trying to escape out of jail or crawl under a house. I don't know what he's doing. Who's that? Chris's tricep exercise.
Oh, with the barbell.
The barbell down low.
Yep.
And he does these push-up things. He goes under the barbell, comes back out. Under the barbell. He's looking like he's doing some kind of yoga move. It's a half a yoga, half a something.
It's a tricep extension. Have you tried it yet?
I saw it last night, bro.
Oh,
I'll give it a go. All right, I'll give it a go. I can't promise, but I'm going to do it after when there's no one in the gym. By the way, I'm just going to give it a go.
That was another one that George made me do back when I was a lot younger. And man, it was you do it right at the end, and man, it makes your triceps explode.
Oh fuck, I'm doing it.
The lower you go, the harder it is. So you got to start quite high and then work your way down.
Right.
But man, you pump out just a handful of reps of that at the end of your workout. You let me know how your triceps go with that. It's fantastic.
I will do it at midnight
Yes.
when there's no one around. Because what was the coach's name?
George Mariolis, huge.
Well, I'm going to be telling one at the gym. George Mariolis does it. I think no, but George Mariolis does it. All right, fucking shut up. George Mariolis does it. Also, I noticed the good old fundamental barbell bench press, mate. 100 kilos, 13 reps. Sorry, I'm going to swear. Fuck, you're a strong cunt.
Man, but I have to work up to that. So a friend of mine put out a challenge. His name's Chris. We roll gym together.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty strong dude too. And we're like, fuck it, let's put a challenge out, and how many reps we can pump out over, like, I don't know, the course of like 5 weeks. Every week we just try to add on. And by the end of it, I think the max I could do was 13. It was anything more than that, I'd blow my pec. I couldn't do any more. So I think, yeah, that was at 13.
That's
but I've
strong,
seen people
brother.
do so much more.
No. Okay, that's fucking strong, man. You're a strong boy. This is no spotting either. You're a strong boy. You're a strong boy. Good goody boy.
Yes, thanks. Yes.
PT, tell us, because I know you were a bouncer, but tell us about PT. You never really mentioned much about PTing, and I don't know why. I think you should. I think you should talk a little bit more about that on a podcast or about learning about Chris. But go ahead. There's one of my questions for you. I want to know what extent you were a PT.
Yeah, but okay. So with that one, I did PT was my first ever real job out of high school, personal trainer. So going back to year 11, I hated high school. I hated it. It wasn't my thing. I was just like, my whole life back then was, because I started going to the gym. All I wanted to do was lift dumbbells. That's it. I didn't want to study. I hated school. I just wanted to lift dumbbells. Nice. And I knew my life would be something towards the gym, something towards fitness. So I'm like, well, I don't care about the Pythagoras' theorem and the algebraic equations of whatever the hell.
We've never used it, really. Trigonometry hasn't been used, but let's go.
So, by the way, I made those words up in case people think I'm a little bit slow in the head.
No, they're Greek words. They're Greek words.
So, one day I was in the locker bay and I'm walking and there was another kid. We didn't really get along. We bumped shoulders. And I knew that, I don't know, he's done some martial arts before. So I'm starting to shit myself. I'm like, fuck, we're face to face. And I'm like, I'm not going to back down. We're getting heated. Man, he started to put his hands up. I just cracked him. He dropped like a sack of shit. And I'm like, oh, crap, I'm in trouble now. He's down. He's kind of like in the corner there, down and out. And then the first thing I did, I ran to the principal's office. I'm like, guys, this has happened. I punched this kid in the face. I'm sorry. Like, just what do you want to do from here? They go, look, sit down. They had a chat to me. They understood that kid was a bit of a troublemaker too. So basically what they did was the counselor goes, look, you clearly don't want to be here. Like, you've shown signs for a long time. What's your goal? And I go, look, I'd love to be a personal trainer. So he's the one that found me the course that I did. And he goes, look, how about, he goes, look, we can't keep you here. We're not going to expel you. We're going to ask you to leave. So there's nothing on a record that I got expelled. But if you don't accept this, we're going to expel you. So I go, sweet. I want to be out of here anyway. So from there, went to the course. So I left in year 11, maybe before the end of term 2. So I made it through term 1, got kicked out before the half-year mark. Went and did my course. And then straight from there, I was a PT. So I went, and the thing was, I joined Genesis first. I was just doing hours, working there. And that's when I realized that I had to kind of lie about my age a little bit. So I was 17 at the time. And people were paying PT rates because back then it wasn't like I'd get the money. They'd pay the gym and I'd just do the PTs with them. And then those guys would ask, oh, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm 17. I was a bit deeper. I didn't sound that high pitched, but I'm like, I'm 17. They were kind of a bit standoffish from that. And then I, started to just say, fuck it, I'm 21. And then when I went to the next gym, then I went to Fitness First. Genesis, it was good.
I did the same thing when I went to nightclubs. I told them I was older, but go ahead.
Yeah. And then I went to, as you do, and then I went to Fitness First, and I got a much better offer there, a much better deal. And the PT manager there, he goes, look, just tell him you're 22. You're jacked. You're much bigger than most, 20-year-olds. So just say you're 22. So I learned from a very young age to lie about my age. So I'd always say I'm older. Now
are you 33, really?
32.
32.
Now
are you really 32?
I hope so. Depending on what math we're going with. Fitness First, I'm 36. But now it's the other way. Now I wish I'd be able to say I'm younger. But back then, I'd always have to say I'm older. So the crew I'd hang out with were older. The guys I'd be around were older. I didn't really have many friends my age. So maybe that's why also I was introduced to the party scene in a much different age group compared to, what most 18, 19-year-olds were doing. But then I did PT for ages. And then Fitness First was fun. It was good. And then George, like I was saying, he hired me over a definition. And then I went to that gym. And that's when, everything exploded. The knowledge, the people I got to meet, the clientele I had there. I absolutely loved my time there. That gym was fantastic. And then I started working. Then I sort of got a little bit bored. Not bored, but it was just hard to manage the PT business. I was too young. I couldn't manage a business back then. I had no idea what I was doing. If I get money coming in, it will go. I didn't know how to do it properly. Then I had an opportunity to work at Australian Sports Nutrition. So I was the assistant manager there. So I used to work in supplements for a few years. Then from supplements, got out of that industry. Then I started doing security. So I started doing bouncing. I thought, I wouldn't mind having a job where I'm just standing there not doing much, getting paid more. So I go, this is great. Sales was fun, but sales was hard work. Working in the supplement industry as well, I don't like it. Like, it's one of those quickly, just a quick little tangent. You're not able to sell what you want to sell. You have to sell whatever makes the most profit.
Oh,
So that's why I didn't like being in that industry. I'd rather be out of it and just, recommend what I'd like to recommend now, like 30G protein. Love that stuff. I thought I'd get a quick little plug in for you guys. But,
Where is it, Chris?
yeah, right there. It's right behind you. Better give it a little plug.
Can you dust it off, mate? It's got a lot of dust.
So, going back to what we were saying, it was going from, bouncing. Then I did hospitality for a little bit. And then I started in the, then I got the opportunity to work in a martial arts gym. And that was about.
Did you ever have 2 or 3 jobs at one time?
Oh, yeah, the PT. So I was a PT and I was working at ASN at the same time. So I reckon I had those 2 going before. Like you're
nearly true Greek. You're nearly the true Greek. 3 jobs, 3 jobs, mate.
I had those 2 and I got conned into a pyramid scheme. So maybe that's the 3rd one.
Yeah, that's a 3rd one. Oh, the pyramid scheme. Yeah, all right. We'll give it to you.
I fell into that when I was young and dumb, and I'm like, hey, man, I'd love to drive that Lamborghini that the guy in the video is driving. And it happened.
Yeah, no. All right, so and that was the journey with PT. But you're truly you're truly a sportsman. Like, you are definitely involved in sports, and you've enjoyed sports. Sports has been challenging and good to you, and it's always been a place. I think the gym, or the what do you call the place you go do jiu-jitsu at? Is there a special name for that?
Now, like, the beautiful thing with jiu-jitsu, it's not as traditional as like karate and judo. It's the dojo. You got to bow to the photo on the wall. Just call it a club, just a gym club, whatever.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great to know your involvement in bodybuilding. I mean, hence why you're on here, and also the topics you brought up, because actually I was in IT. But I was in IT, and then I did a personal training course just as a hobby. I just went. It was a 3-day course, FII or FIA or AIF, whatever it was, and I did the course. It was about $500 back then, and I actually didn't even. I trained one girl. Other than that, I didn't want to train anyone because I just like going to the gym. I just did the course. I also did security. I was a bouncer too.
Yeah,
I was a bouncer while still doing IT. Typical Greek kid. I had 3 jobs because I wanted to buy property. That was it. That was my drive, to go buy property and water cement. If I could water cement.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'm going to go to another hot topic. I'm going to flip it for a second, and also keeping on the time for you. Why do we spend so much money? It's like I said, it's off topic. This is no gym, no jiu-jitsu, no nothing. This is just off topic. Why do we spend so much money on space exploration? Is Mars truly the possibility of where we should be living? Do we give a fuck? Can we spend our money more wisely? Or is space another money laundering place?
Man, who knows? Mars. Does it even exist?
Yeah, it's only photos.
Yeah, man, I'm seeing photo, bro. No, I don't even want to say it on record because there's some people out there.
Say it on record, mate. It's Muscle Talks. We only have 10 to 20,000 views a week, so no one's going to hear it.
No, I can't even say it. Fuck it, the Earth is flat. No. No, man. Like, we got to look into the future. Like, it's awesome. It's fun seeing that. One day we're going to end up in Mars. It's probably not going to happen in our lifetime. It probably won't happen in our kids' or grandkids' lifetime. But man, there's going to be a time in.
It's going to be the same photo, though. It's going to be the same photo, though.
It's still the same. But man, like we make too much money. Somehow the world's in debt, and we're blowing it on things we don't really need to blow it on. I don't know. I don't know how the world works. I'm just along it for the ride.
What do you reckon, Chris? The other Chris, Junior Chris.
I don't really think I have an opinion on it.
What, on space?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I thought it was a
Too
great
much
topic.
of it.
There's too much space. It's too much space. Too much space, mate. Well, like I said, I don't know. I mean, sending everyone sitting in a room looking at this planet, trying to work out if it's alive. I mean, that's a lot of manpower, man. I don't know. I've seen less people work in factories than what people sit around watching this little Mars place, this little rover. Like the room full of 30 people watching this rover. I don't know what that means. But to me, it seems like a bit of a money laundering system. But let's not put that on record. Or have we already put it on record? You mentioned do not take pre-workout before training. But hang on. Then I saw a post in the past where here you are dry scooping, very poorly, by the way, very poor dry scoop, because you're knocking it back with some energy drink. So you are fucking berserk. And now you're telling us not to have pre-workout. Are you Biden by any chance? Related to Biden?
So
Like
if I slip over and fall, yes. No, but so with that, yeah, no, it's a great question. So for weightlifting, man, I love the caffeine.
And it was also an illegal substances in, or something, not illegal, but substances in the sport you can't have apparently. But go on.
Oh man, who knows what's in pre-workouts these days?
Well, you said it. You said it, bro.
No, I agree. So pre-workout,
strong active ingredients, and those ingredients are banned. Why? And tell us why why you contradicted yourself.
No, that was back in the day. Those substances were banned. So Jack, mesomorph, they used to have an ingredient called 1,3-dimethylamylamine. I think that's how you pronounce it, or geranium. So that was the stuff that was pretty much like speed. I don't know if you remember the old Jack formula. You take that, you're ready to go. You're wired.
Yeah.
Man, even that caffeine, any of those ingredients before jiu-jitsu or martial arts or anything that requires you to get your heart rate up, you do not want your heart rate to be higher than it needs to be. You want to try to keep it as low as you can. Before that sort of training, I do not recommend pre-workouts. A bit of caffeine is fine for focus and energy, but anything that exceeds today's dosages, which can be as high as 500 milligrams, maybe that's a bit of an excess, but I've seen them before, 200, 300, 400 milligrams before training. That'll fuck you up. That's too much. Before the gym, it's great. Before lifting weights, awesome. I'm all for it. I love it. I need it. I'm a caffeine kind of guy. But before jiu-jitsu, I've done it before where I've had a really strong stimulant. I do the warm-ups and I'm sitting there going, oh man, I can't catch my breath. And then you try to roll, and instead of being able to roll for your 5-6 minute round, 2 minutes in, you're gasping for air, your heart rate's racing. So yes, pre-workout's great, but not before any sort of martial arts training, wrestling, anything that requires cardio.
Well, I guess in your sport, what I've noticed watching it, you need an element of, it's a chess game, it's a calmness. And also you're kind of doing moves that you're trying to catch the person, you're trying to catch him out. So you need to be an element of in a zen. You've got to be in a zen.
You're going to be efficient. So you see a lot of people when they first start jiu-jitsu, they get tired quickly. It's not that they're not fit. Like you might get a triathlete that comes and does jiu-jitsu and they're wrecked in 2 minutes. What happens is you haven't learned how to become efficient. You haven't learned how to breathe properly yet, because when you're trying to apply a move that you barely know, you hold your breath and you're squeezing this and you're forcing things. You're going to get really tired when you do that. But like you said, if you're in a state of zen, in a state of calm, you can roll for an hour straight because you know how to do everything so well, and you can do it in a calm nature. If you're sitting there and you're buzzing and you're fried off your brain on pre-workout, you're going to get tired in 2-3 minutes.
No, I hear you. Explain to me cauliflower ears and a badge of and a badge of honor. And how does that happen? I just don't understand. Like, no, what is it that causes that? I mean, I don't know. I've seen it. I'm thinking to myself, like, it's more like why, how, and obviously you mentioned wearing it as a badge of honor. And to be honest, once you said that, I don't have them. I understood maybe you should wear them as a badge of honor, but is every jiu-jitsu guy and girl subject to cauliflower ears if they're taking the sport seriously? Is it?
Yeah, like it's a risk that it's a part of the game. Some people are more susceptible to it than others. Some ears are a bit different than others. I don't know. You probably got the big Greek ears with the big hanging earlobes and the chunky cartilage.
Calm down, Tic Tac. Calm down.
The reason why we have them is we had all the oldies pulling them when they're yelling at us.
That's how cauliflower is started, got it right?
That was the Greeks invented it.
Yeah, they did.
So what happens? Yeah, everybody is susceptible to it. In jiu-jitsu, in grappling, hell, even in rugby, you see it because a lot of the guys in rugby, they're in scrums. They've got their heads in there and, they're shoulder to shoulder and their ears can get banged up. In jiu-jitsu, you're getting out of chokes. You're getting out of triangle chokes where you're stuck inside someone's legs. And the only way to get out is pulling yourself out in like a reverse birth kind of motion. So what happens is your ears, they rub, they break. And when the cartilage splits and separates, it creates a hematoma. It creates a surge of blood that rushes to it, which gives it that blimp-like look where it looks inflated when you first get it. It doesn't look like mine now. I don't know if you can really see them. They're kind of solid. So what happens is they fill up with blood. That turns into something else, which I can't remember the exact name for. And if left untreated, it just hardens up. The problem is treating cauliflower ear is really difficult. So when you get it, you have to drain it. Usually I just do it myself. You can't go to the doctors. But you get a syringe, stab, pull all the blood out or whatever's in there. The thing is, what happens, it's super sensitive. So it hurts on the touch and it's, again, very susceptible to blow up again. So all it takes is a knock or you're in bed and you roll over and, you just put a bit of pressure on it. You wake up, it's back again. So your only options are you got to tape it. You got to wear headgear when you train. There's a lot to manage. And a lot of people just don't find it worth it. They don't think it's worth managing it because it takes weeks and weeks before it becomes healthy and good again. So a lot of people just say, screw it. They give up and they just accept it. So now that I've got cauliflower ear, it's a lot harder for me to get it again. It might get a little bit worse. Like it has, like this one's flared up a little bit, but it won't be as bad as the first time you get it. It's extremely painful, really hard to manage. And that's why you just see a lot of people go, screw it. I don't want time off training. I need to get back on the mats. So you just grow to accept it. But some people are just lucky. They just never get it. It's also the style of grappling that you do. I use my head a lot. I got a big Greek head. So I'm in there and I'm using my head to pass or I'm using it. I put it in spots and spaces that I probably shouldn't. So I get cauliflower ear. A lot of the really good guys, probably guys that are better than me, they don't put their head in there. They stay away. They don't want to pressure into that sort of person. Their ears look great.
Okay. Oh, no. Well, like I said to you, I see it. It is, I guess it is a badge of honor. And if you love the sport and you love doing it. So tell me then, why do 90% of people quit BJJ, especially white belts and also blue belts? And what are the blue belt blues?
Yes. All right, cool. So a lot of people quit jiu-jitsu because it's one of the most difficult things you can ever do. The learning curve in jiu-jitsu is it takes forever to figure out even the basics. You can do strike, you can see striking, you can punch, you can knee, you can elbow, you can kick. So it's easy to pick up. I'm not saying that it's an easy sport at all. It's a very difficult martial art to learn as well, but you can see it. With jiu-jitsu, a lot goes on that you can't see. Where do you position your body? How do you put your weight on somebody? How do you move your hips? The basic hip escape. The basic hip escape in jiu-jitsu. Now, even that takes ages to learn, and that's just how we warm up. So a lot of people jump into it because they watch it and they think, look, it doesn't look that bad. I'll just grab him, I'll grab his arm, and I'll bend it backwards. Then you get in there and you try it, and you're like, shit, this is really, really difficult, and it takes a long time to progress. Some people just don't have the patience. You need to be able to train minimum 2-3 times a week to be able to see progress. Some people just have other things going on in their lives and they just don't have time to train and they don't have the ability to commit enough time to jiu-jitsu to see the progress. And what happens is the people that only train maybe 2 times a week or less, they notice the other guys that started when they started surpass them. And then it's disheartening. You're in there and you're thinking, like, why aren't I getting better? So the fact that it's very difficult, the fact that it takes such a long time to learn is why a lot of people quit, which leads me into the whole blue belt blues thing. So it takes you maybe on average anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 years, maybe even longer to get your blue belt. And that's just the first belt after white. Yeah. So what happens is, like I said, jiu-jitsu is really hard, but people are like, you know what, I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to hit that first milestone, which firstly, you get your stripes on your belt if your gym does that. And then finally, you get that blue belt and you think to yourself, I've made it. But then you realize, like, yeah, it is a great achievement. Don't get me wrong. Getting a blue belt is, like I said, like we were saying before, not many people get it. Maybe 10% of people that start training will go on to get their blue belt. But what happens at blue belt is you realize that there's so much more further to go. You're like, man,
Why is it so long? Why is it so long? I'm just asking. Why not? I mean, I could give you a business tip. Give everyone belts quicker, and your business will go tenfold.
And gyms do that, and then we call those gyms McDojos. They hand out the belts.
Yeah.
And the reason why in jiu-jitsu it takes so long to earn your belt is because there is no bullshit in jiu-jitsu. You can't fake it. You know, like a lot of the time.
And there's no end. There's no end. You mentioned there's no end to jiu-jitsu.
There's never a finish line. Like I'm not a black belt yet, but a lot of people say when you get your black belt, it's like starting again. You know, now you're doing jiu-jitsu. You've learned all the techniques, and now you can put it into practice. It's like you're off your P plates, and now you're out there driving and you're doing your thing. But what was the thing you just said before? I was leading into something there. Just before.
No, you were telling me it takes you a year and a half to get to blue belt.
Oh yeah, why it takes so long?
Why it takes so long? Yeah.
Yeah. So with jiu-jitsu, it's one of those martial arts that you just can't fake it. So in any other martial like karate and all that sort of stuff, you get graded off just being able to show the technique. You know, you do your kata, but you never have to actually spar. Like you do spar, but it's not at 100%. It's not at like how do I best put this? In jiu-jitsu, you can go 100% with your training partner, like balls to the wall. They tap. That's it. You can't do that in anything else. If you do it in Muay Thai, if you're every single session going 110%, you're going to knock out your training partners. You're going to injure yourself. You're going to injure them. Nobody wants to train like that. Jiu-jitsu is the only martial art, probably the only sport where you can go out there with your best mate, with your bud, and literally try to rip each other's limbs apart, literally try to choke them. It's the only one that you can really test yourself like that. And that's why to get graded, it takes so long because you need to be at a certain level, which you just can't fake.
Yeah, I suppose my next question is what is then the difference between wrestling, Greco wrestling, judo, and other wrestling techniques? Why? Because you mentioned not we're short on time. Me, I ran a bit late. I always run late, but I'm going to go through some speed questions with you. But tell me, what's the significant difference between all those things with BJJ?
So there's jiu-jitsu, there's Brazilian jiu-jitsu, there's judo, there's freestyle wrestling, there's Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yeah.
So the difference is it's a different rule set. So with jiu-jitsu, that's 80%. Jiu-jitsu is 80% on the ground, 20% on the feet. You both start standing, but jiu-jitsu is mainly what you do on the ground. Judo, the other way around, they do a bit of groundwork. It's called, I believe, niwaza, when they wrestle on the ground. But in judo competitions, your goal is just to throw your opponent, get them flat on their back. Boom, it's over. If you do that in jiu-jitsu, you keep going. In judo, ippon, it's over, you win. In freestyle wrestling, you don't wear the gi, so now it's very different to judo. Judo also, now in the Olympics, you can't grab the legs. So you can't do any techniques where you grab the legs with your own hands. You can do trips. That's a whole other topic to talk about as well, because freestyle wrestling being in the Olympics was too close to judo. So what happened was they had to make a rule change. Now, freestyle wrestling, you're not wearing the gi. Your goal again to pin your opponent, get them flat on the back, sit them down for the pin. But you're allowed to attack the legs. You can throw them, do anything you want. Greco-Roman wrestling, you can't attack the legs. So you don't throw them, underhooks, overhooks, look for tosses, all that sort of stuff, foot trips, all that. But you can't shoot for double leg takedown. You can't hug the legs at all. So it's all grappling, just different rules and also different attire.
Like I said, what was that? Did you say something, Chris? I thought it was Chris. Yeah, no, it's all wrestling to me, but but interesting. But now I know the bit about the legs. You know, just before we leave the belt bit, and I remember a friend telling my son, this is when my son was doing taekwondo, but also belts. And I think you can agree with this, but I think most should really understand this. You're better off exhausting your white belt and being the best fucking assassin as a white belt that can take out other belts that are half-masked. The guys that are getting belts but aren't fucking technique driven and knowing their stuff, you can be one motherfucker that takes out everybody that's at a half-mast level in their belts. Do you agree?
100%. I'd rather be a really good white belt and I'd rather be a really good white belt than a shit blue belt.
Yeah.
When you get grades to that next belt, you should be able to go to any gym around the world and be able to hang with those belts. If you get your belts too quick, it's going to keep the members on board. Membership retention is great.
There you go, yeah.
But then you go to that other gym and you get your ass handed to you. You're going to think to yourself, man, what the hell's going on? But hey, some people, Some people like that. Some people are a fan of just getting that belt. Just on that topic quickly, everybody gets graded differently. You'll see somebody who's an active competitor smashing the scene. They're going to get held back because they're out there. They're representing the gym. Somebody who's, you know, a little bit older, they're not going to be competing. They're doing it more for a hobby. They'll get graded much easier. Everybody, you get graded on your goals. You get graded on your, pretty much you get graded on what your goal is in jiu-jitsu, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I'm just going quickly over my notes. See what. You know. Said all that stuff. That's good. That's good. Oh, did you end up buying your girlfriend the orgasm?
Just with that one. So I think that was an espresso shot.
Well, when I read it, it was $10 for an orgasm, which sometimes is well worth it.
Yeah, it was a great orgasm. I couldn't remember what it tasted like, but I remember the smile on her face.
There's nothing like a good smile on someone's face. That's for sure. I'm just quickly reading my notes because here's Felicia with her orgasm. And I won't go too much into the filming, but he loves filming. Chris, he's been filming for a long time, so maybe you can, you know, share ideas on filming. You know, at the moment. And we'll speed through a few things quickly. I'm going to mention one thing. I've noticed at the moment, gyms are using martial arts as cardio. But what I'm finding is some people are doing these martial art cardios believing they're martial artists, which to me is creating another false experience or false belief, even on social media, that everyone believes they're a boxing coach now. Now they're boxing coaches. Now they're wrestling coaches. I don't know what they are. I think it'd just be nice for everyone to understand everything has its place. And if you're going to invest in a gym. And if you're going to invest in martial arts, invest in martial arts. And you're going to have the best outcome. What do you think?
Yeah, like those people that believe that they're martial artists from doing their boxercise classes and all that sort of stuff. Man, I'm not going to blame them. I put it down to you don't know what you don't know. So unless you really look into yourself and you're thinking, I want to be the best martial artist, I'm going to do my own research and I'm going to go out there and figure it out. Some people just don't know. So some people do believe that they do a boxercise class at their local, you know, gym and they think they're a boxer now.
Yeah.
Look, the sad thing with that is if they ever get put in a situation where they have to defend themselves and they think, you know, this is going to save them.
Someone's holding up mitts for it.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I feel sorry for them. But that's some people, that's what it takes. They're going to have to, you know, be put into a situation where they're exposed, where they get exposed. And then they're going to be able to realize what they really need to do. But man, there's a lot of shit out there in this world. You just have to figure out how to filter through it.
Okay. We're going to ask 3 questions quickly, so we'll get you going. Did Joe Rogan really put jiu-jitsu on the map?
100%. Yes, he did. The jiu-jitsu community owes Joe Rogan commission. I've said this before. Him, Jocko Willink, I reckon are the 2 most influential people in jiu-jitsu becoming what it is today. Definitely Joe Rogan, though. I work at the gym, so I do a lot of the sales there as well. Man, I reckon 80% of the people that come in and go, yeah, listen to this on the Joe Rogan podcast. He talked it up. So I'm like, hey, that's my job done. I don't have to sell it to you anymore. Joe Rogan's already done that for me.
Awesome. Is jiu-jitsu really a superpower?
100%. If you know deep, the way I discovered jiu-jitsu as a superpower is whenever I'm at a family function, whenever I'm at a mate's house and maybe we've had a couple of beers, there's always that one person that says, hey, let's have a wrestle. Let's do it. Let's get out there. And we go out there. Not only do, you know, obviously, you know, I get the better of him in the grappling exchange, but I can look after him through the whole thing too. So I'm able to wrestle him and protect him at the same time. Whereas he's out there doing a lot of dumb stuff, trying to throw himself at me.
You can actually let him win and look good too, don't you?
Yeah, and I can, you know, like, oh, you got me, and all that sort of stuff. So it's great when you can walk down the street and you just know that, you know, like, unless that other guy trains jiu-jitsu, which means he's not going to obviously start any trouble because no one does when they train martial arts. You just have that inside you. You have that ability to know that you'll be okay.
Well, I know that I was telling Chris, even Yanni's instructor. I mean, you look a bit rough. I have to say, you're a bit rough. All right, I'd question you. I'd look at you and go, all right, it looks like we're going to have it out together. I wouldn't know that you're going to smash me, that I know. But the most important one is some people, when I look at them, I go, mate, if that guy faced up to me, I'd try to take him out in the jaw. But little do I know that bloke is going to choke me till I'm blue, until I faint. So
that's even scarier. That's
scarier.
That's more of a superpower.
That's what I mean. It scares the fuck out of me.
Someone that looks like a turbo nerd is able to kick your ass.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So before we get, we're going to go over the body. We're going to finish up very shortly. I need to, this is a hot topic, a personal hot topic with me. Okay. I believe rage, fights in venues. Sydney introduced the one punch rule that shut down the Sydney nightlife. If I had to go back and say, what's the core problem? It is this. It's gyms with their bullshit martial arts centers on the side, right? So a gym, and then they've got the boxercise side, and then they've got the Muay Thai. Like, I'll give you an example, not plugging, that was a UFC jacket. I went to it. But you combine that with steroids and ego, you're going to be punching on with everyone outside in the clubs.
And alcohol.
That's what I mean, and alcohol.
Oh, so, yeah,
but if you educate them way back at the gyms and say, yo, this is entry level shit. Understand, this is not supposed to, you're supposed to protect people. Like, teach them the art of self-defense, but that's not what they teach. They teach attack.
Yep.
So do you agree, Chris?
100%. Yeah. So I definitely agree with that sort of stuff. It's also a lot of gyms out there. There's a lot of gyms with shit culture. There's a lot of gyms that promote that violent side of fighting. Fighting is a beautiful thing. So martial arts, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, anything you want to do, it's that old saying: with great responsibility comes great power. What is it again? That with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
That happens with martial arts as well. If you're being misdirected by a coach who's a piece of shit, you're going to go out there and you're going to use your powers for evil. But you just need to find a club that's good. And I do agree that, a lot of nightlife issues happen because, firstly, I believe the ones that cause a lot of those issues, they don't train. They're the type of people they're the type of people that say, oh, when I see red, that I can't control myself and I just become this killing machine. Man, they have no idea what it's really like. With those sort of people, they've got like 3 punches in them before they gas out. They're going to blow their load in 2 seconds and they're done. But what those people do is the one punch thing is it's a coward's punch. They don't do it when the
guy's not really ready. The guy's not ready.
The guy's not ready. So that person comes up, he cracks him from behind. If you're not ready for a punch, it has so much more of an effect on you. In boxing, the guy's in front, that punch is coming, so you can have your shoulders up, have your chin down, have everything tensed up. If you're fully relaxed and you're sitting there talking to someone and someone cracks you, no matter who you are, you're going down. And if you hit your head on the ground, I'm sorry to say, it's unfortunate, but there is a good chance you might also pass away.
100%. But I do believe when I did bodybuilding, it never symbolized fighting. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how jacked you are, how big you are. Actually, you just wanted to look sexy for the girls.
Yeah,
and guys admired you. I believe when the UFC, I love UFC, but I believe when martial arts ended up in gyms and they had that as their byproduct, and then coaches came in, good coaches too sometimes, because it was a paid job. Anything that's a paid job is a paid job. But I think that triggered fighting when you believed you're jacked, maybe on some cycle. Now you're learning Muay Thai twice a week because it's free. It's part of your gym membership. Now you think you're an assassin. That's what I believe.
It's a recipe for disaster.
It's a recipe for disaster, man. I tell you, it's a recipe. And I think it's calmed down now because I think gyms are finding it hard to get real coaches in there now because they've realized it's a circus.
Yeah.
It's a circus.
Are you fat up or fed up? Tired of boring food? We just cooked this from our What Should I Eat cookbook. It's also on an ebook, making it more affordable for you. So,
get your copy at threeog.shop.
We're going to go over the body quickly. You okay with that? Are we okay for?
How are we going? Yeah. You'll finish up on this one. Yep.
Okay. We're going to go over the body, which I ask everybody. If you ever watch the podcast, we go over the body and exercise sets and reps. All right. So this is bodybuilding time. Okay. So I might even bring up a chokehold, but let's start with, if you trained back in your day as a PT, traps, how would you train traps?
Traps, upright rows.
Yep.
Rows.
Let's go with upright rows, sets and reps.
Sets and reps for traps. I would always keep it between 8 to 12, and then I do 3 working sets.
Beautiful. Fucking said he's still got his personal training hat. Delts. Hear me out. We've got 3 type of delts. Outer delts. What would you do for outer delts?
Outer delts, just the normal side raises, but I'd sit down.
I
don't like swinging. I try to keep it as stable
Isolated.
as I can. Yep. So with that, with delts, I do it a bit differently just because I like to just quickly burn them out at the end of the session. I like to run the rack. So I'd start
I love listening to you talk bodybuilding. I feel like this is like, it's different.
The old me's coming out.
The old me's coming out. I feel like it's a rebirth.
But yeah, man, this is getting me pumped up. I actually want to go to the gym now. It's fucking tired. But yeah, I'd run the rack. So I'd go maybe, start at whatever, 12, 15 kilos, rep that out as many as I can, drop it, get the next one, drop it, get the next one. I do 2 of those.
Okay, lovely, lovely. What about front delts?
Front delts, I don't really train those at all.
Okay, no, that's fine because some people don't train them. Rear delts.
Rear delts, the pec fly, reverse pec fly is probably my favorite.
Nice. Sets and reps?
3 sets, 15 to 20.
I've got to say, this is a good podcast, man. I'm really enjoying it. So we'll say it on camera. Chest?
Chest, incline bench, #1 exercise.
Yep.
I've
Sets and
posted
reps?
about that a lot. So sets and reps, I'd warm up for a while, but I'd warm up by training my back. So to warm up for that first, rope pulls. I'm going to get my shoulders nice and warm.
Fucking hell, you really know your shit.
And I'm going to do light lat pull downs, rope pulls to warm up my back. So I'm going to do that in between my warm up sets of incline press. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to work maybe 2 to 3 working sets, but I'm going to work down to as little as 3 to 4 reps.
I just got to know why warm it up. It's a very, very, very scientific process you're talking about here. Is it to allow as much? What is it? Like, tell me why.
So I want to open up my chest, and to open up my chest, I believe I need to do the pulling motion. I need to get blood into my delts, because a lot of the times when I do incline, sometimes I might get a niggling weird feeling in my shoulders. I want to warm my shoulders up, and I don't like doing the, you hold the little weight plate and you do this thing, and I'm not a big fan of that. I'd rather get my back, a little bit of blood to the back, a little bit of blood to the delts, re-delts and traps, and then go for the bench press. I believe the pecs benefit more if your back's a bit warmed up.
Wow. Back.
I used to do deadlifts, don't like that anymore. Bent over barbell rows, and I'd work 8 to 10 reps, maybe 3 sets, but that's just because like my lower back's a bit funny with jiu-jitsu, so I'd be a little bit careful with that.
Okay. Abs?
Nah, jiu-jitsu's enough. Just jiu-jitsu training.
Bicep?
I've only got one good one. Hammer curls. I love my hammer curls.
Sets,
Hammer
reps?
curls, sets, reps. I either run the rack with that one as well, or I will go maybe 2 to 3 working sets of 12 to 15 reps. Oh, no, I'd like that 10 to 12. Yeah.
Tricep?
My favorite fucking, the barbell underneath extension, whatever it's called.
I'm gonna ask this because I'm gonna ask this when we switch off the camera. We ask people to do a collab, like to say something like, together with Muscle Talks, let me show you my whatever favorite exercise. You have to do that video, so we post it on YouTube because we want it on YouTube.
I'll get someone to record it, and I'll do that for you.
Yeah, please. Quads?
Got legs up. What do you mean legs?
Okay, so hammies, forget it. Calves, forget it. Tibialis. What about glutes?
Jiu-jitsu. I reckon that gives me just the way we are in jiu-jitsu. Look, I do squats. I do light squats, and with that one, like it just depends how I'm feeling. I won't lie. With that one, if I can't be bothered, I won't do it. Otherwise, it depends again what I'm feeling. I won't go heavy. I'll try to keep it around 3 sets of 10 reps.
Look, I'm not an expert, and you are a strong guy. I can tell you're a strong guy because you've done weights, all right, and you do jiu-jitsu. So let's just get that right. I'm sure besides your core and your shoulder work, your legs play a big element of driving in those shoulders, getting into that person. So my advice to you is hit your legs a bit more.
I agree. I do need to do it. But, oh, man, Legs.
Just do it. Hack squat. Go light on hack squats. Do a hack
Yeah.
squat. Or even
You're
just
not wrong.
dumbbells. But even dumbbells, man, you can just hold them, which are doing a lot of and just do some, mate. Just do 3 sets of 15 with your dumbbells. You'll be all right.
You're not wrong. I agree.
All right. Well, Chris, this is your time to promote yourself, to tell everyone where we can find you. So the stage is yours.
Yes, sir. You can find me on Instagram at C_trio. Facebook, I barely check that. And I don't want to plug my own podcast because I'm on Muscle Talks podcast right now.
No. Plug your podcast, mate. Plug your podcast.
All right, guys. If you want to hear more from me and guests that I interview, please check me out on Spotify at The Chris Trio Show.
Wonderful. Well, Chris, what can I say? It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for reaching out early, I think, to give me some encouragement. I think we spoke a little bit. And, yeah, onwards and upwards, I say.
Thank you so much. And, hey, I'd love to meet the man behind Muscle Talks podcast, get to know him a little bit more. So if you ever want to be on my podcast, please let me know.
Mate, definitely book me in, and I may even maybe even make it a trip to Melbourne and do it live.
Hey, if you're ever in Melbourne, you know where to find me.
Well, anyway, let's book. Let's put a date and time in, and what we'll do is not only will I be on your podcast, I'll do a workout with you.
Hey, love it. We can train legs.
We'll train. At least I can show him up on that. No, actually, what we'll do is we'll train legs by sitting on the couch watching people train legs. Yes.
Beautiful. Love it.
All right. Thank you, mate.